everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Tiffany Benson, one part of Team Benson, and today I'm going to prune some plants. And we're going to talk about why we're pruning and all the fun stuff when it comes to pruning. So first, I'm sitting next to that little guy right there. That is my Malabar spinach plant. And for those of you guys that don't know a little bit about me, I want to one day have land, and I want to one day have like one of those like conservatories like in the game of Clue, but I want one side of it to be surrounded by different vines, and I want that vine to be Malabar spinach now that I know how beautiful it grows. So the way that this is just kind of covering this pole, I can only imagine how it's gonna look when it's completely covered and then vining up to the top. I'm gonna be so excited. It's gonna be like every little heart of little girl's dreams just coming true. But today we're gonna talk about pruning. So I prune a lot of my things, where I prune them down to where there is a lot more room for them to grow, a lot more room for them to find light, and then also it kind of helps me keep the disease down in my garden. Right now I've entered a time in my garden where there's not a lot of pests. The winter is the best time for desert gardeners to grow things because you're not battling a lot of just pests naturally on your garden, outside of the rodents, but now that those are taken care of, we're doing good. So I want to go through and show you guys a couple things that I'm going to be planting or going to be pruning, and then just kind of tell you why. So we'll just go from bed to bed and see what it is that we need to prune. So along with pruning are going to be a little bit of adjustments too as well. So I have my mighty crop, I have another ring, and I'm going to add this to my tomato plant. Now my tomato plant has gotten really huge. I'm excited to show you guys because it's gotten pretty big, and I'm growing it straight up. So if you guys don't have a mighty crop, you should get one, because if you are a small space gardener or you're just trying to save space in your garden, this really helps because it doesn't require a big tomato cage to grow things up, and you can adjust it at any rate. So a lot of my tomato cages, I actually don't grow tomatoes in them because the tomatoes typically grow larger than what a normal tomato cage grows. And I also don't want to have this huge circular space in my garden that's blocking a lot of the desperately needed light that I need. So to prevent all that, I just grow things with a mighty crop that are really tall. And this just makes it to where it's easy to adjust it when I need to adjust it, and I can pretty much grow any plant on it. I even grew a vining cucumber on it, so if it can hold that, it can hold anything. If you guys don't have a mighty crop and you want to get one, we do have an affiliate code for you guys. So if you just use promo code Team Benson, which I'll put right here, then it'll save you 10% on your mighty crop. So let's talk about this tomato plant. So guys, all of my tomato plants need a nice little trim, but look at this majestic beast. It is extremely tall right now, to where it's pretty much at the top of that post that I have in there, and it'll probably continue to grow even taller. And as you can see, it's flowering too as well. Well, I want to keep this thing healthy, and I also want to keep it to where it's not kind of taking over this bed, because I have the broccoli growing happily down below it, and I want to make sure that they get enough light. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and I'm going to prune. So when I'm pruning my plants, I'm looking for things like this, where they're diseased leaves, or also what I should have done is went ahead and pruned earlier before I had big vines to where it was growing in the armpit. So basically when you're pruning tomato plants and they grow like this, these are called suckers, and you want to remove those suckers because they pretty much just help the plant grow a lot healthier and produce a lot more, because it's not wasting its energy on growing extra branches and leaves. So if you're going to be pruning a tomato plant and you want it to kind of stay healthy, pulling out those suckers earlier on is going to be beneficial for you. Now some of these suckers I'm going to leave, like this one, I'm going to take this branch, versus the sucker, because this branch is diseased and dried out and kind of gross. But the sucker, on the other hand, is doing pretty well. As you can see, this is it right here. So I'm going to go ahead, prune this little bad boy, and then we're going to see how it looks after I prune it. Okay, so this is what we're looking like. So basically I pruned everything that was down here off. Now some people like single stem prune, where they get it to where it's just one vine growing up. I did not do that earlier on. That would have been something I needed to do down here. But I do want to make sure that pretty much everything down here below is going to come off, because that's where the disease can come into play. When I'm watering and things are splashing on those leaves, as you can see, those were the grossest leaves compared to these beautiful ones up top. And it is also making it to where it's shading some of the broccoli down here, which is what I don't want. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move this level of the mighty crop down to kind of bring these branches in, and then I'm going to add another mighty crop on top, and then I'll give you guys a big view of the overall tomato plant. Alright guys, so while pruning, I found this. My first little tomato is coming in. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's right there. And now for the big reveal. So growing this on a mighty crop is going to make it to where I can really keep those branches all the way in and just grow it as tall as it's going to go. Normally I have to kind of grow smaller types of varieties of tomatoes, but now that I have my mighty crop, I can kind of grow any type that I want, because I can always just add another layer and then just keep growing it up. So we're going to go around and see what else needs to be pruned. So the next thing I'm going to start pruning are these broccoli plants. I want to make sure that things like this are not happening, where there are old leaves or the first leaves that are coming in that are now touching the ground. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to prune those off, so then that way it reduces the risk of any type of damage to the plant due to it getting sick. And here is the after. Now this whole bed is all nice and pretty. So my plants are drooping right now because they could really use some water. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to prune the rest of these tomato plants. So I'm going to prune all the bottom leaves off of them. And then I'm going to take a minute and water this bed so that then it's a little bit happier. I'm also going to look at the bottom of my pepper plants. Now I do a pretty good job at pruning my pepper plants before they come in, but I also want to take a look at the leaves, make sure the leaves are doing good and they're nice and healthy, and then if they're not, I take any of those off too as well. Okay, so I have the water going, guys, but as you can see, I took off all the bottom leaves and I tied them up taller. I'm giving these little guys some water so they won't be drooping, and I did the same thing over there. So now those ones are all pruned up nicely, and these ones, along with this one, I'm going to be able to single stem. Now just a quick second to talk to you guys about watering. Now this is the time that I start to kind of hold back on watering, and I only water every 2 days. And then when I do water, I water really deeply. So that's something that I do as a desert gardener because it allows my plants to be able to really seek out water, which means they grow better roots. And when it's not a million degrees and it's not really going to kill the plant to do that, then I like to do that because it makes a stronger, healthier plant if they have bigger, thicker, deeper roots. So that's just one little tip that I like to do. So if you see a few of my garden plants looking a little rough or drooping, they're fine. They're just being a little bit needy and wanting some water. Today is the day that I normally water them, and I water them pretty deeply so that then I can go another day or sometimes 2 days depending on the weather and let them really grow some deep roots. So the last thing that I see needs to kind of be pruned are some of my pepper plants. Now, as you can see, these leaves aren't too close to the ground, but they are pretty close. And I want the pepper plant to get nice and tall, especially before it starts fruiting. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take off these bottom leaves and just kind of leave the tops of them. So the same thing with this shishito pepper plant too. As you guys can see, it's trying to grow little leaves down here, but I don't want that. So I'm gonna make sure to pull all those little leaves off. This shishito pepper plant really needs to be harvested because the little shishitos are turning red and some of them are starting to crinkle. So tomorrow's video though, I'm gonna go through and harvest all of my peppers. Now the last thing I'm not gonna harvest because it's done, I'm gonna take out my midget cantaloupe. It is done, it didn't survive, but tomorrow I'm gonna cut this open and see what it looks like on the inside because I'm gonna finally move that tomato plant over here that is in the brassica bed. So that is all I'm gonna worry about pruning today. I'm gonna go ahead and give this garden some nice, well-deserved water so it can grow nice and tall and strong for me. And I'm also tomorrow gonna cut open this little guy, guys. It smells so good. Like it really, really smells good. I might even try it and see what it tastes like. Might as well see. But if you guys want to see what I harvest and see what it looks like once I cut this open, much better when the sun's behind me. And then make sure you guys tune in tomorrow to my channel and you guys will be able to see it. So don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that subscribe button and the bell button so that you get notifications. But thank you guys for watching. Until next time, grow yourselves a garden because even a small space can provide you with tons of food. Bye guys.